Hey everyone, how you doing today? I'm really happy today. I am. I'm happy for two reasons. One, I didn't lose power. I thought I was gonna yesterday. It was kind of forecasted that we're gonna get some really nasty winds and potentially a derecho. And I was like, oh, here goes the power for about 4 or 5 days at least. And it didn't happen. It kind of missed us. The weather did all kinds of weird things, and a lot of areas got messed up yesterday. But my city kind of lucked out, so can't complain about that. And I'm also really happy about all the really great comments on this ship, or trying to find solutions for the problem that I had with the ship on the last video. And that is kind of a combination of two problems. How does it land on the ground, and how do you get in the ship? And I was experimenting with things that weren't going to work, like a door over here, and I was going through a lot of the comments, and some of the comments suggested that maybe put up a ladder or something like this to hop on top of the wing and then get into the ship somehow up this way. And I analyzed that a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, getting on top of the wing's not going to help you much, though, because this is not interior space over here. This is just a single plain wall in that location. If you go up further, you got this big bulky area, and it looks like, yeah, I can just hop in the ship. But then you realize it is chock full of giant thrusters the whole way. The whole place is. So that would have been really hard to navigate a player through here. Maybe you could have got up there and walked in between two thrusters. If you take a look, if the thrusters happen to be on when you're doing that, look at that heat. That's really hot. So that would have been really bad way. And if I went there, if you went up even further yet, I mean, you got quite the climb going on now. Uh, if you come in the center here, well, there's another thruster, but if you come, basically you'd have had to come in like up in this front area here, with a door, and that'd have been. I'm just thinking, especially, like me, if I'm wearing like heavy armor and stuff, or on a higher gravity planet, this would be a nightmare to try to like bounce up there. It would take a while, and then it doesn't really put you in a location that would be very close to a cockpit either. Well, one of the main cockpits, either the secure one, which will be in this area, or the first person bridge. So I'm like, yeah, that's rough. So I kind of had to rule that idea out. Another idea was to thicken up the wings, so I actually had a way, like a walk path through here. But I don't want the room. I didn't want the space. I wanted to keep these wings looking really thin, like they're big metal plates. Hopefully, after they get textured, they look that way a little bit more. Um, so I didn't really like that idea, and I would have had to rebuild the whole underside of the wings, thicken it up, which I don't think would have helped at all with the looks. So I was kind of like, well, it's a feasible idea for sure. It's just, yeah, I wanted to find a different way to go about this. Then there was another comment saying that maybe I should try to make this area a little bit bigger here and have like a landing gear on the back area, and then a landing gear on the front area. I'm like, yeah, maybe that could work. Another suggestion was saying that I would be able to improve the performance and probably be pretty happy if I got rid of the thrusters that were in this location here, these extra ones that were kind of ad hoc in, um, and put them on the wingtips. Now I was a little reluctant on trying that, but I finally broke down. I was like, yeah, let's give it a whirl, because I kind of wanted to rebuild, or not really necessarily rebuild, but change these around quite a bit. So with all that being said, let's take a look at the new version. Haha, the fixed version. It actually works now, guys. It works. So as you can see, we see a way in the ship in the kind of back middle. Let's start out over here. First, I did actually make this area a little bit longer, a couple blocks longer than what it was. This is kind of like the original landing gear, although I think this was all rebuilt anyway. And then I put in a second larger landing gear on the kind of inside, offset by one block there. And I also stuck in a XL thruster over here. So it's not textured or anything right now, and I plan on tweaking this area out a little bit better with blocks. Try to make it look a little nicer. Now this thruster's not very protected out here, but Okay, so now you're thinking, well, these are so close together. How can that possibly work? And I want you to think of a ship. If you happen to know the ship, it's a Star Citizen ship called the Constellation. It was to me, it always looked like it would tip. It had a like this big landing gear section towards kind of towards the rear of the ship, but not quite in the rear. And it basically would balance on those. And I was like, well, can this ship do that? So if I pull out and look at the straight side view, as you can see, you got this big long neck up here, and that's quite a distance, but also you look how much bigger and bulkier the back area is and where these landing gear are actually positioned in it. And it actually looks like it would weight distribute correctly where these landing gear would actually in fact work. And that's kind of what I came to the conclusion with. It's like, okay, that works, and then I don't need to put some kind of landing gear anywhere up in this neck area or where I was originally trying to put it. Um, so after that, I decided to change this center area here a little bit, and basically it kind of went up and then kind of leveled off there. So I kind of had to drop this down a little bit more so I could get in a ramp door. So that's what's going on here now. So now we've got a ramp inside it, and then it's kind of counterbalance with another set of ramps there, and it goes right to the ground just like it should, and it's easy. It's easy, so you can park the ship, you can just run right up in it. um, if the secure bridge is out in this area, it'll probably be a quick hop to get into the secure bridge from here as well, or not too far, not too time consuming to get to, hopefully. I got to figure out the interior layout and where parts are going and stuff, but yeah, now I'm really kind of digging it. When it's sitting on the ground, I think that looks pretty neat. I thought I was going to really hate having the big XL thrusters in the wingtips, but I kept the front side of them really thin, so it's not really super noticeable. Those thrusters are kind of planted on the insides of the wing, so they don't stick out the other direction much, and or at all really. And that works out pretty good, and it looks like it would actually legitimately land this way. Um, and also, landing on something like this too. I was trying to set up this area, and maybe I'll fix that up a little bit more and try to make it look a little more pronounced. But I was trying to make it look like these outer wings here were obviously a separate part that could swivel up or down a little bit, and that would actually function a bit as like shock absorbers when you land on the ground. Like maybe there'd be a little flux there when these hit, then it kind of balanced off or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, it works now. It works. It solved the solution of how to land it, how to get into it from the ground, which was really a fairly fairly rough issue to try to figure out on this design ship, or a ship like this where it was all high up in the ground, or kind of high up in. It didn't have a flat bottom. Okay, just did not have a flat bottom on there. And also, yeah, these thrusters were cut from this area, so this area I kind of filled in and tried to smooth off a little bit. Um, Beyond those changes, I also added in a long-range radar over in this location, added in another turret position here, and two more or turret position on each side on the bottom part of the wings, which I was kind of planning on doing anyway. Um, so yeah, it all works pretty good now. So another question too is putting the thrusters on the wingtips versus the center of the vehicle. So here's the old one. I just want to show you the stats, and keep in mind it's not used. The new one's not using any more CPU. It has the same thruster count as this one. So this one had a 47 roll, 52 yaw, and 60 pitch. With moving the thrusters to the wingtips instead of in the center back area, um, and now has 50 yaw, which went up. Has 68, or I'm sorry, 50 roll, 68 yaw, which also went up quite a bit, and it did drop down one in pitch, which I'm totally cool with. It didn't, it's the whatever. It was the biggest stat number. It was the one I cared about least. So yeah, it did improve the performance some. I gained a good 4 points on the roll, and I think they what was that again? The y'all on this one was what again? 52. So yeah, that actually shot up 8 points on the y'all. Um, which is yeah, it was it definitely increased the performance of the ship some more. And now, I mean, if you take a look at the specs here, granted, it's going to get heavier than what it is now. I got to put in Xeno backing blocks and all the main parts and the interior, which will be carbon substrate. But I mean, I'm not looking at any super excessive amounts of weight. Probably the most amount of weight would probably be with some of the big parts, maybe, and the Xeno blocks. So it's going to slow down some, but um, looking at the numbers here, I got, from what I perceive, and there's some comments about this on making a, an agile ship that can evade getting hit with a lot of things, flying in certain maneuvers and formations, and you need pretty good pitch, yaw, and roll specs for that, or maybe at least two of those three specs. And it was suggested that you'd want to keep those around 45 to pull it off. But another comment said, well, you don't necessarily need that much, maybe around 30 to 45. But yeah, I'm looking at the numbers here, and I'm exceeding those numbers in all specs right now. Again, it'll slow down a little bit. I kind of expect the roll to go down to probably at least 45 by the time the ship is finished, and these probably will drop a little bit too. But man, I think it'll work. I think it'll work. I think I got enough leeway here. I got enough power to be able to pull this off and actually have it legitimately work like one of those kinds of maneuvering ships where you fly in certain ways and you can really avoid a lot of incoming fire, and that would be very important for this. And it's got plenty of room to add in a lot of shield stuff. I got space, which is great too. Obviously, this fusion reactor is not going to be where it is. This is going to be pretty much where the secure bridge is going to be, somewhere in this general vicinity. And but I got room behind over here. I've got room all over the place. Um, to add in a lot of stuff. And yeah, so everything is moving along again. So I'll probably be working on this a fair amount today. I think I got over my issue that was kind of delaying things and kind of being a little frustrating for a little while, trying to figure out how to get around that. And I got to say again, I appreciate all the comments. I might have not acted on every single comment. I tried to act on some, like the thrusters and the wingtips, and I like the idea of the ladder and stuff. And that's it would have probably worked. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. You can I could have modified the ship one way or another to handle that, but to me, it just seemed like it would have been difficult. It would have taken a long time to get in the ship. I would have had to make some probably changes to the hull and the body that I didn't want to do for cosmetic purposes. I wasn't really fond of making the wings thicker and having like a hallway going through them or catwalks or anything like that on the bottom side. Um, so I think this solution here, and it was basically the comment that said, just put make this bigger and spread out your landing gear over there. I think that actually would really change the course. In combination with, I was also throwing in a thruster here, and then that these areas were bigger. Then I had a little more room to add landing gear and stuff like that. So it all kind of worked. It all kind of worked, and yeah, I found I can't use the fancier ramps, by the way. Of course, I like them. What I'm referring to here is these guys here, these boarding ramps. But yeah, to get the height needed for one of these, it makes this big bulky thing. You guys know how these things work, and it just didn't work out. So I had to go with the old school ramps, or I would have had to fill in like this big bulky area all the way around the fancier looking boarding ramp. So it was gonna be that part wasn't gonna work out very good. But yeah, um, it's coming along good now. It's got more guns than ever. It's got a huge amount of thrust power and maneuverability going on here too. I mean, there were some other things that I don't even know if I noticed or said anything about. I did kind of rebuild these front gun assemblies a little bit. Version 2, I guess you can say. Who knows? Might tweak them some more. Yeah, but yeah. it's coming along good. I got a lot of texturing to do and figure out how I want the textures. I've been playing with a couple different colors, like this kind of greenish gray color that I'm using in this area, which kind of it does have some green in it, but it's toned down a little bit more. So yeah, I'll figure that out. And my plan right now too on the color scheme of this, I think I mentioned this last video too, would be I'll probably have it come and after it's textured, hopefully it looks a lot better than it does now. Um, in basically like a greenish brown little grays in the mix, but I'll have an alternative color set, which basically would make it more like a gray gunmetal kind of look. So you could have, there's quite a few people that wanted to see it in green, and then there's some other comments that wanted to see it in kind of like a gray. Um, so you'll be able to do either or. That is the best solution there. So everybody has different tastes and how they want it. And who knows? It could even have a third color set of some origin if I get to it or not. I'm not sure on that one yet, though. Um, but yeah, I definitely like the how the stance when it's like landed on the ground from the back too. I think that looks pretty neat. Um, now, so yeah, yeah. I again, thanks for all the comments. One last thing I want to do on this video is just ask one more question, and I'll do this early. Now, I don't anticipate having this ship done probably for another couple weeks yet. Just knowing all the things I got to do, and I can probably put a lot of time into just texturing the hull. Uh, but I wanted to start asking about names. If you got any good ideas for uh, a Klingon-inspired bird of prey name. And if you do, just put it in the comments. Basically, I'll go through the comments. I'll put them all on the list, and I'll start showing that list there, and just try to see who gets the most votes. I normally do the name thing like right when I'm getting near finishing the ship, and I think that I just waited too long before I asked the question. So right now, I don't really have any idea what to call this ship. And I didn't want to call it a Klingon bird of prey because it's technically not. It's not. It's it's a custom ship. It's just based around a Klingon bird of prey. So I didn't want to call it that. Um, I would hate to get someone in there that's like, no, that's not how it works, and the shaping over here wouldn't be like this, and this would be different. And so yeah, I don't want to deal with that. So that uh, so yeah, if you got any good names, good names that you feel would be appropriate for this ship, just list it in the comments. I will add all those up. I could actually legitimately try to do like a vote on what name it is, especially if I start it early, so there's enough time to actually see the names and not like the last minute, like, oh, I need to know by tomorrow morning. Uh, that's a little rough. My bad on doing that, especially with the Proxima. I did I was so close to needing that name by the time I asked for it that I had to like run with something, and it was kind of like undecided on what the name should be at the time. There's votes for a bunch of different names, but like only one vote per name, so that made it rough. There wasn't any clear victor there. So anyway, that's all I've got for today, and again, pretty happy. Again, thanks for all the comments. I'll probably have a video on this yet this week, maybe tomorrow, or if not, probably Thursday. And I'll try to show you some updates or try to build a little bit or do something to the ship in video, just kind of show you how I'm doing it. Now, right now, the whole texturing thing. I don't have it down to like a set process yet. Once I get the looks better, um, and try to figure out what I did to accomplish that. It'll start to become more of a routine, and the texturing will start to take place faster, and I'll have a better idea. I want to get to the point where when I'm texturing this, it's kind of like a no-brainer. I don't have to think about exactly everything I'm doing, texturing it, and experiment over and over again. I just want to kind of like, okay, this is how I'm doing it. This is a process. I'll just follow this process, and it gets textured. And it gets textured fairly quickly that way. That's kind of what I do with the other factions that I've got, the humans and the Scar and the Creel and even the MCRN. I can texture those things relatively quickly, comparatively speaking, than I can this, because this is like trying to do something new again. And every time I do something new, or try something new, it takes longer initially trying to work out the details and how, what colors and what textures and what tones and what process are you using to texture it. So maybe I'll try to do a video on that at some point here, on how once I figure it out though. But right now I'd be a mess. I'd be like, try this. No, I don't like that. Try this. Nah, I don't like that. Try this. Yeah, maybe. Try this. Nah, that doesn't work either. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Anyway, y'all have yourself a great Tuesday. I'm not sure. I'm sure some other people in various areas. I looked at the power outages in the U.S. today, and especially like several states, kind of around where I live, a little below where I live, um, had some pretty massive power losses. I think Ohio being the worst this morning. So, anyway, y'all have yourself a great day. I'll talk to you later.